Well, hello everybody. I am delighted to welcome you. I'm Robin Starr, the CEO of the Richmond SPCA, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to this celebration of the great progress that we made together for the well-being of animals in Virginia this year. The bills that were passed in the General Assembly 2008 session all represent significant steps forward in the humane treatment and compassionate care of the animals that we love. While there is undoubtedly a great deal more progress that is needed for animals in Virginia, it is appropriate now to take a moment and celebrate how far down the path of that progress we moved this year. I want to thank the people whose support was crucial. Of course, we are deeply grateful to Governor Kaine for his support. House Majority Leader Morgan Griffith and Senator Tommy Normant were the two chief patrons of the animal fighting bills in the House and the Senate, and we are deeply grateful for their hard work and their leadership. Ward Armstrong, House Minority Leader, believed in the importance of this legislation and worked with dedication to achieve support on the other side of the aisle. Attorney General Bob McDonnell gave the bill his strong support from the very beginning by including it in his legislative package, and the very professional staff of the Attorney General's office did a remarkable job of attending every committee meeting and speaking effectively in support of the animal fighting bill. Because we are so grateful to them for their leadership, the Richmond SPCA has dedicated a kennel run downstairs to the leaders without whom the animal fighting bill would never have become law. A plaque is going to be mounted on one of the runs in the first adoption kennel room that reads as follows. This run is dedicated to Governor Timothy Kaine, Attorney General Bob McDonnell, Senator Tommy Normant, and delegates Morgan Griffith and Ward Armstrong in gratitude for their leadership on the 2008 Omnibus Animal Fighting Bill. I know that it is not only we who appreciate it, but dogs just like Piper here who will be protected by this bill. I want to also express our thanks to our coalition group, which included the Humane Society of the United States, whose staff put an enormous amount of time, work, and heartfelt commitment into getting both the Animal Fighting Bill and the Puppy Mill Bill passed. Also, the Virginia Anti-Dog Fighting Coalition, the Virginia Sheriff's Association, and the Virginia Animal Control Association put tremendous time and effort into seeing these bills pass. My sincere thanks to all of you, as well as to our dedicated, smart, and hardworking lawyers at Troutman Sanders. I would also like to take just a moment to introduce my friend and ally in saving lives in the city of Richmond, Jody Jones. There's Jody. Jody is the operations manager for Richmond Animal Care and Control. Jody and quite a few members of the staff of Richmond Animal Care and Control are here today, and I would like to recognize their remarkable work for homeless, neglected, and abused animals in the city of Richmond. It is wonderful. If every private humane society worked with their local government animal control agency the way that the Richmond SPCA and Richmond Animal Care and Control work together, tens of thousands fewer homeless animals would have to die in communities all over this country. I have to just brag for a moment by telling you that together in 2007, we achieved a 78% overall save rate for all of the homeless animals in Richmond in 2007, and that puts us within the top 5 in the country, the top 5 safest cities for homeless animals. Now I would like to introduce Governor Kaine, who has been a great and long-standing supporter of the Richmond SPCA. He made TV commercials for us when he was mayor of Richmond. You may have noticed when you came in that one of those 2 plexiglass big plaques in our vestibule says that the honorary chair of the community campaign to raise the money for this facility was Lieutenant Governor Tim Kaine. Governor Kaine was also the honorary chair of our furball in 2006. We are deeply grateful for all he has done for the Richmond SPCA for so long. We also appreciate that his much more important identity than Governor of Virginia is dad of Gina Kaine, the first dog of Virginia and a Richmond SPCA alum. Governor Kaine.
Thank you all very much. Well, thank you. What a treat to be here to say a word first about the SPCA in Richmond and then about this achievement, the work of these legislators in getting great bills passed this year with your help. I am a big fan of the SPCA. I was on City Council when I first came to know of the SPCA's work when the SPCA was located over on Chamberlain. And at that time in the city, the SPCA was doing good work on a small facility, but Richmond's animal care and control situation in the city was not up to snuff, not near what it should be. The SPCA and Richmond's animal care and control organization have really forged a wonderful, wonderful partnership. And animal care in the city has been transformed, and it's been because of the strong leadership of the SPCA. I think Robin Starr has got to be one of the best executive directors of any organization I've ever been associated with. And the novel strategy that you guys put in place, really, promoting this no-kill policy, and which is really ultimately a policy about maximizing adoptions. Let's find families for these homeless animals is really not just a great thing for the city and Commonwealth, but it is a model that other cities around the nation pay attention to and copy from. And so this organization has been absolutely spectacular. They've helped Richmond do a better job. They've helped our state do a better job. And they also helped me keep a campaign promise. I told my children that win or lose the governor's race, the prize for putting up with Dad being away was that we would get a dog. I didn't realize they would make me come to the SPCA the morning after election. I thought it would be a month or two later, but nevertheless, we came the morning after election to the SPCA, and we've had a great dog in our house ever since, an SPCA alum named Gina, in honor of my wife's dog when she was a kid living in the governor's mansion. And Gina has added great joy to our lives, and that's what happens when people come to the SPCA. They leave very, very happy. No wonder you guys do such a good job. So to Robin, to you and all of your board and staff who are here, just keep doing what you're doing. You guys do a wonderful, wonderful job. This topic of animal care and control is an issue that matters a lot to many, but that can be kind of a back burner issue with the challenging legislative sessions we have, budgets, public safety, education issues, dealing with the fair and humane treatment of animals sometimes don't get the attention that they deserve. But in 2008 they did, largely because of the public consciousness raised when there was a federal prosecution of the football player Michael Vick. The issues of dogfighting came front and center in the public's imagination. And once people were aware of it, the reaction of citizens to knowing that this was taking place was very, very strong in suggesting that much more needed to be done. Organized dogfighting is a felony in all 50 states. Despite that fact, it remains widespread. In addition to dogfighting, cockfighting is also widespread throughout the states, especially in the South. Cockfighting is illegal in all 50 states, but a felony in 35. Prior to this legislative session, it was not a felony in Virginia, it was a misdemeanor. Besides being cruel to animals, animal fighting, we know, is closely connected with all manners of other crimes. Gambling, drug dealing, illegal firearms sales, and organized crime. And we also know that those who are cruel to animals or those who make that part of their life are also very, very likely to engage in cruelty to other human beings. There is a direct connection between cruelty to animals and other crimes of violence. Other states that border Virginia had previously passed legislation to make cockfighting a felony. Local law enforcement residents in Virginia were seeing residents of those other states cross into Virginia to engage in the activity because it was a lesser penalty. So legislation from this session, sponsored by Delegate Morgan Griffith, who you'll hear from, Delegate Ward Armstrong, and Senator Tommy Norman, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, will provide significantly greater tools for law enforcement and prosecutors and enhanced penalties for animal fighting in Virginia. Simple fighting of animals, of any animals engaged in fighting, it will be a Class 1 misdemeanor, but organized fighting is now a felony. In addition, possession of materials that are intended to enhance the ability of animals to fight, such as talons that are attached to, or razors that are attached to rooster talons, will also be a felony. Permitting a minor to become involved in animal fighting or wagering on animal fighting in any way will be a felony. The bill also allows law enforcement officers to conduct searches at any time upon the issuance of warrants. The previous language in Virginia law prohibited law enforcement officers from searching after sunset without a special enhanced warrant. We've eliminated that restriction in this legislation that these legislators have carried. And so for Delegate Griffith and Armstrong and Senator Norman, they get a huge debt of gratitude from all who care about animals in the entire Commonwealth for working so hard on this important legislation. Senator Roscoe Reynolds took it another step further, and Roscoe also wished that he could be here today but could not. He sponsored a bill that makes organized dogfighting a qualifying offense under our racketeering statute. Racketeering statute has enhanced criminal and civil penalties for certain kinds of offenses that are part of organized crime, and there are these underlying offenses called predicate offenses that are listed in the statute that become the subject if they are carried out by organized groups of racketeering. Now, organized animal fighting is one of the racketeering predicate offenses, which gives us additional law enforcement tools. There was a second effort this year dealing with the care of animals that was also extremely important. An issue that received attention last year was an issue dealing with, and more common than we would wish, excessive commercial dog breeding operations known as puppy mills in the Commonwealth. One operation in Virginia received a great deal of attention. An operation in Carroll County was discovered that Virginia's commercial dog breeding industry is largely unregulated and is often in complete and flagrant violation of state and federal animal cruelty laws. Delegate Bobby Orrock, who also could not be here today, but Bobby just did a great job on this and really deserves our thanks, sponsored legislation to tighten both state and local regulations around these puppy mills. House Bill 538 requires breeders who maintain more than 30 adult female dogs to apply for a business license with the locality, cooperate with inspections by animal control officers, maintain records about the sale, purchase, breeding history, and veterinary care of these animals. Under this new law, which will now take place January 1 of 2009, breeders can't maintain more than 50 dogs over the age of 1 at one time for breeding. There was a puppy mill operation, I'm sure many of you are familiar with, in Carroll County, where the operator had more than 1,000 dogs who were all receiving very, very poor care in this individual's hands. In addition, any person who has been convicted of any law concerning abuse, neglect, or cruelty to animals cannot get the license, cannot sell or trade companion animals, and breeders who fail to comply with these laws will be subject to criminal penalties. Finally, there was another bill that Delegate Orrock sponsored as well that was important. The legislature passed a bill banning the use of gas chambers to euthanize companion animals. That was an old technology. There was much more humane ways to euthanize an animal if an animal has to be euthanized. And the goal of everyone here is to minimize that instance. But the gas chamber method was inhumane and needn't be used anymore. Bobby Orrock pushed this bill through the legislature to make sure that it can't be. It contained an emergency clause. So right upon my signature, the bill took effect. So all of these bills and all of these legislators are to be applauded for their work. But I have to say that, these things don't happen without you. Those of you who care so deeply about these issues and who bring them to our attention are the ones who, really get the credit. We do our good job when we're good listeners. When we listen to issues that people bring to us, that's when we do our best work. And in many instances this year, whether it was animal fighting, higher ed investments, reform of the mental health system, other issues, we were good listeners. We worked in bipartisan ways, and we made progress. I'm really happy we can be here today at the SPCA to celebrate this progress. And I believe now I would like to, are you going to do the introductions, Robin, of the next speakers? I would like to offer both Delegate Morgan Griffith from Roanoke and then Delegate Warren Armstrong from Martinsville a chance to come up and talk about their role in this very important work. Morgan.
Thank you, Governor Kaine. I'm the majority leader, Ward's the minority leader, and sometimes it's said, and probably true, that we fight like cats and dogs, so maybe this was self-preservation, Ward. That being said, this was an important bill. I came on board because of the testimony I heard in the 2007 session when, because of timing, we couldn't get a bill passed dealing with cockfighting. But what I learned, and I didn't know, I grew up, in Salem, and we just didn't have that kind of activity going on that I was aware of. And when I heard they put razor blades on the chickens' talons and that they used drugs to beef them up, I was appalled. Unfortunately, we couldn't do anything. We passed a bill out of the courts committee and the criminal subcommittee that both Ward and I serve on, where we heard this testimony, but it just wasn't time to get it worked out in the budget. Every time we pass a bill that has criminal penalties, a felony, it has to go up to appropriations, and it just wasn't time in '07. But I was thrilled when Mike Woods brought the bill to me and said, we'd like for you to work on it, because I had made some expressions that I felt like it ought to be a felony. And then I have to thank all the coalition members who came to the numerous meetings that we had, both public meetings and then private meetings, where we worked on the language. The Attorney General's office that gave us a tremendous amount of support. This was truly a bipartisan effort as well at all of those meetings, whether it be in the Senate or whether it be a meeting held in my office, to try to figure out the right way to word this. Ward Armstrong was there. It truly was a bipartisan effort. We both worked very hard on this. I guess because we're in the majority, I get my name first on the bill, but Ward was there every step of the way. And I tell you all that while generally the press doesn't show up unless we are fighting like cats and dogs, there are a lot of bills that we work on together because we're trying to do what's right and best for the Commonwealth of Virginia. This is one of those bills. I am proud to have been the sponsor, and I am proud to have worked with my colleague, Ward Armstrong, and with everyone involved in this, and particularly knowing that we will make a difference for generations in Virginia. Thank you.
It's always good to be with the Governor of the Commonwealth and with my friend and colleague Morgan Griffith, and also with my other colleagues, my former colleague Bob Bloxham, Todd. Robin Starr, let me a word or two about Robin. Of course, as you know, her name is synonymous with not just the Richmond SPCA, but with humane treatment of animals, period. We go back a ways. We were in law school together back at T.C. Williams, along with her husband Ed. I was at their wedding, which was a few hairs ago, I would might add. But the reason that Ed and I have been kept around so long is we don't jump up on the furniture. And we've learned that when Robin asks you to do something, you don't say no. And so it was indeed a pleasure to work on this bill and work with Robin. One of the things that Ed and I share in common is we are both alumni of Duke University. You might have heard of the school. We played a little basketball once in a while. But I had a golden retriever by the name of Duke that was our family pet, and about 3 weeks ago we lost Duke. He had gotten into some ticks. We have a fairly large acreage out where I live and a lot of fields, and picked up a fairly rare blood disease. And like all of you all, I know I'm preaching to the choir, that our pets are members of the family, and we buried Duke on the hillside overlooking the lake where he used to chase the geese. And that wound is still a little fresh. And as we dealt with the loss of our dog, it was absolutely incredulous to me that people would mistreat animals. I'm a criminal defense attorney in my real life, and I don't live a sheltered existence. I've seen about everything bad that one human being can do to another. But you know, I never really realized about the bad things that people do to animals until the whole Michael Vick thing came to view. I'm a firm believer that at the end of the day, our society will be judged on how we treat the lesser of our society, including our animals. And if we don't have respect for them, we don't have respect for one another. The things that this bill is designed to outlaw are nothing short of barbarism in my book. And I felt privileged to play a small role in making certain that this type of practice will not be condoned in this Commonwealth. You know, Morgan and I, what we do is the easy part. The real heavy lifting is done not just by Robin. I know many of you, I've seen the faces in and around the Capitol, I know you made emails and phone calls. You should take great pride that every once in a while we do something good and do something tangible. And you all should take a lot of credit for that. And thank you for letting me be part of that today. And thank you, Robin.
And we're really blessed to have with us today John Goodwin, who's of the Humane Society for the United States. Robin mentioned that the Humane Society was a key partner in this effort, and it was great of John to join us today. So John, welcome.
Well, thank you, Governor. And Delegate Armstrong, I'm sorry about the passing of your dog, but rest assured, if he understood what you were doing this session, boy, he sure would have been proud. You know, so often when I come before a crowd of people or the media, it's to talk about something horrible, to expose some form of cruelty. And it's refreshing and nice today to be able to come here and talk about something so positive and uplifting and something that is an example that I hope other states will follow. And at the Humane Society of the United States, we're so grateful to Governor Kaine and Attorney General McDonnell, to Delegate Griffith and Delegate Armstrong and Senator Norman and all of the other people in the legislature, all the other people that are in our coalition, all of just the people in the communities that send in their emails and phone calls and help get this legislation passed. Last year, a spotlight was placed on dogfighting in Virginia, but it certainly existed in some dark hollows throughout our state, as did cockfighting. We found that there were a lot of these large-scale cockfighting pits around our state, and they were kind of become magnets for criminals who came here from other states where these animal fighting crimes were a felony, and they wanted to come here where it was a misdemeanor. But that problem has been solved. I went to Tennessee after this legislation was passed here in Virginia to talk to some of our members and some of the legislators there and try to get a good, strong felony cockfighting bill passed there. And I pointed to Virginia as the model. I said, you know, you guys should look at what Virginia did. Virginia did it right. And I think that's something that everyone in the state should be proud of. And I just want to close by saying that the animals in this state, the animals that are affected by this legislation, sure did benefit from having both House Majority Leader Morgan Griffith and House Minority Leader Ward Armstrong on their side. When you've got the leadership of the Democrats and the Republicans together, boy, you sure can get some good things done. So thank you, gentlemen.
I'm going to go over and sign the bills. Let me just acknowledge a word mentioned. I've got two key state officials here with me. Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Bob Bloxham, who is the first person to be Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry in the history of the Commonwealth, who does a great job, and Todd Haymore. Todd is the Commissioner of the Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, under which animal control falls in the state government organization. Both of them are here because they care about this issue. To all of you who joined us today and to all of you who made this possible, good work. And now we'll come over and sign these bills. House Bill 666. Omnibus Animal Control Bill. I've got one copy and one pen. These are not going to give these out, so I'm going to give this one to Morgan. It'll work. Second copy of the same bill and give the pen over to Friend Ward Armstrong. Yeah, good job. Next we'll go to the Roscoe Reynolds bill, which added animal fighting as a RICO predicate offense, additional rules for prosecutors of this time. Signed Delegate Carr's bill. We can just end it. Ending of the gas chambers as a method of euthanizing animals.
I can try.
And then finally, I'll sign the Senate and Kaine bill, the bill that Delegate Armstrong and Delegate Griffith will come together. All right, let's do more good stuff next year. How about it? All right.